Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has condemned the latest Russian strikes that killed at least 5 people and wounded 35 others in the southern port city of Kherson on December 24, the president's office said. Kherson. In the morning, on Saturday, on the eve of Christmas, in the central part of the city. These are not military facilities, Zelensky said on Telegram. He shared photos that showed bloodied bodies on pavements. One photo depicted large plumes of black smoke rising from near an apartment block. At least 2 cars were on fire. It is the real life of Ukraine and Ukrainians, the president wrote, and he accused Russian forces of killing for the sake of intimidation and pleasure. Presidential aide Kyrylo Tymoshenko said 16 of the 35 people hurt in the latest attack were heavily wounded. Tymoshenko said many people had been out on the streets when the attack occurred, as it was the weekend. There was no immediate comment from Moscow. Kherson was liberated by Ukrainian forces in November, but Kyiv says Russian forces continue to shell the city from across the Dnieper River. The latest attack on Kherson comes a day after Zelensky warned of possible Russian attacks during the holiday season and urged Ukrainians to be extra vigilant in the coming days. With the holiday season approaching, Russian terrorists could become active again, Zelensky said in his evening video address on December 23. The Ukrainian military leadership has recently warned about new missile attacks on the country's infrastructure and energy supply, noting that a Russian naval unit including a warship equipped with cruise missiles was on combat duty in the Black Sea. Zelensky met with Ukrainian military leaders on December 23 after returning to Kyiv from the United States, saying the armed forces were preparing for the coming months and next year. In Washington, the House of Representatives passed a further $45 billion in aid to Ukraine included in an overall government spending bill and sent the measure to President Joe Biden for his signature. Zelensky responded in a tweet saying he was grateful to Congress for unwavering bipartisan support for Ukraine in the fight for freedom. It is extremely important that Americans are together with Ukrainians in this struggle, he added. Russian military officials are proposing a major reorganization of the country's armed forces, including increasing the age for mandatory conscription, as casualty rates from Moscow's 10-month-old invasion of Ukraine continue to climb. The proposals, announced earlier this week by Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, would expand the size of Russia's armed forces by around 30% to 1.5 million troops and amount to a reversal of reforms undertaken more than a decade ago that sought to modernize its Soviet-era force structure. They also amount to an acknowledgement of the systemic issues Russia's military continues to face, problems highlighted by the grinding conflict in Ukraine. Russia has recorded more than 100,000 dead and wounded in Ukraine since February, according to public estimates from Western intelligence and military officials. The last time Moscow disclosed an official death toll was in September, when Shoigu announced 5,937 soldiers had been killed in the war. To replenish its forces in Ukraine, the Kremlin in September announced a mobilization campaign that aimed to bring to 300,000 men, mainly reservists and those with military experience, to assist in the fight. The mobilization order was separate from the regular, biannual draft, which brings between 120,000 to 140,000 men twice a year into service. Those conscripts serve for 1 year.